Does Zwift count as cycling? I've been having this debate with my boss Matt for the last year or so. As a die-hard indoor rider who's logged hundreds of hours on Zwift, of course he says it does. It's hard, it takes time to master, and you're pedaling for crying out loud. Well, I say it isn't, because you're not in motion. There's no balance required, and you don't physically travel from point A to point B. Well, at least that's what I used to say. Over the last month, I've decided to dive headfirst into the world of Zwift to see what it is all about and to see how far I can progress. This is the story of my attempt to go from zero to Zwift Hero. To give Zwift a fair shake and to set myself up for success, I went all in. My friends at Ceres set me up with an H3 direct drive smart trainer and the TD1 trainer desk. I got on Zoom with Matt Gardner and Holden Camo from the Ceres The Pros Closet team, and I got some basic coaching about how to ride and race in the world of virtual cycling.
I'm so focused on racing for an hour. It's like I'm not distracted at all. It's just like completely absorbed in everything that's happening.
The plan was simple. I'd take a month, ride Zwift as much as possible, I'd race regularly, week after week, and I'd see if my years of in real life cycling experience could translate into the virtual world. Fortunately, all of my indoor riding goodies came at the perfect time. The Colorado weather turned wintry, snow and wind. November days got short and dark. Zwift was beckoning. But right off the bat, I got humbled, big time. I made a silly mistake. In the very first race I was gonna do, I ended up losing the connection between my trainer and the Zwift game, and right at the start, I was off the back. Learning the technology of Zwift and smart trainers is a big part of getting started in virtual cycling. And I'm not the only one who's faced these challenges.
They feel like flat tires and crashes on the road. That's, it's like you got yourself warmed up, got into a race, got everything ready to rock, and you're amped up, ready to go, and then nothing. It's a frustrating thing for sure. You just gotta investigate your technology and the setup that you have, and do a little research and try to just get everything to be as stable as you can be. Move your fan around like you discovered so that it doesn't interfere. But you get it. That after it just takes a little bit of trial and error.
So once I figured out that the Ant Plus was my problem, I switched to Bluetooth, and then the connection was strong. But my legs, well, I don't think they were all that strong. Race after race, I kept getting dropped, sometimes really early on, and it was pretty frustrating. But it also steeled my resolve. I wanted to figure it out, I wanted to try to improve, and finally, after 6 races and 3 weeks of suffering, I made it to the finish with the group. And I came to realize that it makes a big difference if you know what the course is going to be like and if the course suits your strengths. In my case, it turned out that a short multi-lap criterium was pretty ideal for the type of riding I'm good at.
You've got to pick your courses, find the race courses that are going to suit you.
Even before I survived that criterion with Peloton, it was pretty clear that the Zwift addiction had taken over. I kept checking the Zwift companion app to see what races or group rides were coming up. And although this project started out with a focus on racing, I came to realize that some of my favorite things to do on Zwift are actually the group rides. Zwift is a really social platform, and I didn't realize that until I immersed myself in this virtual world. People love to chat and joke around on group rides. We all know that, but the same thing happens when you're riding online. And you can also create your own group rides, your own meetups. You can invite friends and ride with them on Zwift. In fact, I've started a weekly TPC ride for staff and friends, and heck, if you find me on Zwift, I'll send you an invite. So by this point, you're probably wondering, did I admit defeat? Did Matt win this "does Zwift count as cycling" argument? Well, I'm not entirely convinced Zwift is cycling, but my opinion has become a lot more nuanced, and that's a good thing. The similarities between Zwift and in real life riding are obvious. It's humbling, addictive, and it's social. Getting dropped in these Zwift races like I've been doing for weeks, well, it really reminds me of that exact feeling I had when I first started riding road bikes competitively. I thought I was experienced and fit enough to put those days behind me, but I guess not. To me, Zwift is a form of cycling. It's another branch on the tree. It'll never completely simulate the feeling of balance, speed, and motion. Zwift will never take you to a new place, at least a physical place. And you sure can't ride Zwift to get to the grocery or the office. But Zwift is wonderful because it's welcoming, social, interactive, challenging, and it's downright convenient, especially if you live in a place where you got real winter or if you got a busy work schedule. Like any other branch of the cycling tree, if you have riding experience, you can bring that fundamental toolkit into this new realm, but there will be a lot to learn and many miles to go before you can truly master it. Well, let me tell you. Some of the lessons I learned in the last month of Zwift sound all too familiar in hindsight. I should have known better than to try to race myself into shape rather than setting out a nice specific training plan. And also, I should have known that you need to pick courses that are gonna suit your strengths, and you gotta kind of know what those courses look like ahead of time if you're really gonna try and give racing a shot. And like any form of cycling, it's always more fun when it's done with friends, old, new, and even virtual. To me, cycling's all about the challenge. Chasing my limits is what's inspired me to try pretty much every form of bike racing that there is. It's also motivated me to ride 200 miles of gravel in a single day, and it's why I go out and tackle some of the rockiest, gnarliest mountain bike trails in my area. And Zwift is just the latest way for me to continue exploring my limits. It's a way to feel like a novice again. The only difference is that this new cycling challenge takes place in a virtual environment. It's just as hard, just as rewarding, and that's why I'm gonna keep at it, well beyond this 1 month challenge. Let's face it, I've got a lot more work to do if I really want to become a Zwift hero, whatever that means. So how about you? Let me know about your experience with Zwift or virtual cycling in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the Pros Closet's YouTube channel. Check out our blog on theproscloset.com, and thanks for watching. Maybe I'll see you out there on Zwift.